Okay, on this video, I'm wanting to talk more about the first week after my transplant. So in the previous video, I had told you that it was in June. At that time, they weren't letting people stay. They just changed the rule to where one person could come in, but it had to be only that person the whole week you were there. So my husband Jerry was able to come in, and that was nice. So I think the surgery, Jerry said, took about 4 hours. And I woke up and they had given me, of course, they've killed your immune system. Don't forget that. Your immune system is going to be really low. And for pain, they had given me one of those, I guess, where you hit the button if you're starting to hurt. I was on the phone one time with my sister. When I hit that, I sounded like a drunk person, and I'm not one of those people who like to feel they're not in control to some degree. So I asked them to just go ahead and give me something I could take by mouth that would help with the pain, but not make me sound crazy. Oh, actually, I'm already crazy, so I didn't want it to be worse. So I was in there, I believe it was, had the surgery on Tuesday morning, and about 4 days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They let me go home on Friday. Couple things you're going to have to be able to do before you leave is, of course, go to the bathroom, urinate. And, of course, I love water. So for the most part, I didn't have any problems. So 2 things on that one area. If you're not really a water drinker, you might want to work on it before you go in for a transplant, because they're going to want you, like I said, be able to urinate. And they're going to want you, I think at first it was ice and then it was water, and you can't leave till you can do that. A secondary point on that is that if you were on dialysis, most of the time when you've been on dialysis, from what I've read, you have stopped urinating because, of course, they're pulling the blood out. I always say pulling, drawing the blood out. They're cleaning it and they're putting it back in. So they want to make sure that your kidneys are working well, because most of the time you only got one that's going to work very well before you leave. So might want to learn to like water a little bit better. They had me up and walking. I think it was by the next day. One conversation I had with one of the nurses was, I told her, I said, okay, if I go walking and my gown's not closed and there's anything hanging out, I want you to tell me. I don't want to be walking everywhere and mooning everybody. The nurses were awesome. They took such good care, tried to help you with anything you need, and they did an awesome job. So for me, the stay was just, it wasn't problematic. I didn't have any issues. Now, if you have other health issues, it's possible, depending on what you have, you may have to stay a little longer, or you have something in your medications they have to change. I'm going to come back to that thought here in a little bit. Once I went home on Friday, oh my goodness, by Saturday I was just sick to my stomach, having intestinal issues. I was running a fever, which technically they say, if you don't run a fever above a certain amount, that may just be your body reacting to what's going on. However, it freaked me out a little bit. So the first weekend was really hard. For me, there were 2 medications they were giving me. They gave me tacrolimus, I don't know. There are like 5 different ways people probably say that, but I'm going to call it Tacro. They gave me that, and they gave me mycophenolate. With the Tacro, they usually want you to be between 5 and 10. For the most part, people could be different. So I got myself tested. I think it was on Monday, and it was like 23. So, of course, they immediately dropped it, and I felt much better, much better. Things started to even out a little bit. They also gave me mycophenolate. I was talking to you about that. And I did pretty good for a while. But then, I'm going to say it was about 2 or 3 months later, I started having back pain. Because of the polycystic kidney disease, you can get cysts in other areas like your liver. I also kept up with my labs, and I encourage everybody to do that. No, I'm not a doctor. I'm just giving you my viewpoint of what I went through. The mycophenolate, as far as I could see for me, was affecting my liver because my liver values were high. Of course, one of the nurses said, "Oh, that's not possible. It doesn't affect the liver." Well, if it could happen, it will happen with me. So I asked them, please let me take it down just a little bit. I was on 4 mycophenolates, and I just wanted to take it down to 3. And she said, okay, all right, we're going to let you try that. So I went down to 3, and I noticed my liver values went down, and my back wasn't hurting. So after a couple weeks, they were like, now we really need you to go back up. Okay, so I go back up, and my liver values raise, and my back starts hurting again, where the liver is. And I called them back and I said, so what I'm noticing, and the reason why I want to go lower is because if I'm on the higher dose, my liver values go high. If I'm on the lower dose, my liver values drop. So they allowed me to go ahead and go down to 3, and I didn't have any issue at all. So your body can be different. If you think about it, they deal with hundreds of patients. They don't know how each person's body is going to act. So please be patient. They care about the people they deal with, but they don't know everybody. So keep up with your own labs, how your body is reacting to things, and, keep in touch with your transplant people. That's one of the things I was talking about was the mycophenolate. So I went home. You have testing. And I'm trying to remember, I think at first my testing was 3 days a week. After that, if everything goes well, it's 2 days a week. Then it may be 1 day a week, once a month. So you're going to be getting your blood drawn for a while. This is why you need a good support system, because you're not supposed to be driving for several weeks. And that can be an issue for some people, because without a good support system, you may not be able to get a transplant because they want you to have that there. That's pretty much what was happening within that first week. Let me make sure that I had talked about everything I wanted to do. I think so. Oh, one last thing. Okay. So I have other health problems. I also have mild epilepsy. What I didn't know was that the medications I take for epilepsy would not work as well because I was on the, the medication that kept my body from attacking the kidney. So I've had to learn how to adjust and do different things. So before you get your transplant, if you have any other problems, do some research, talk to your doctor about it. How will my anti-rejection meds make these other medications work? What should I be on the lookout for? And then the last thing I wanted to mention is what I always talk about, and that is, can you be a donor? Can you be a live donor? If you can't be a live donor, check that little mark. It's just one little check. That is on your license. I know we never want to talk about that. We all have the desire to be alive and be doing things. But if you could give someone else a chance if something happens to you, and I never can remember, so I got a note. They can use a heart. You have 2 kidneys, so they can take one for 2 people, one to each 2 people. A liver, you have the lungs, pancreas, stomach, and intestines. And they can use other things, but those are the things that could immediately save somebody's life. And that's a gift. I know I appreciate the gift that was given to me because it's hard on a family to lose someone. We all have felt that personally. But I appreciate that gift. And please, if you do that, let your family know. They don't need to know at the last minute that this is what you're going to do. So, that was my thoughts on what had gone on with my transplant. Remember that we all need to smile. We look at people and they're so afraid to look at you. I remember in the last couple of weeks, a gentleman said that on news. We are afraid to look at anybody. But if we share a smile, most people smile back. So, you all have a good day, and remember, keep smiling.